Now let's take a look at the Dendro production card. First, you'll see the faction name Dendro at the top of the card. Starting with your main structure, the Emerald Temple, this is placed on the back corner of your Dendro starting tile. It begins the game alongside 3 workers and your hero unit, Denrock. Next, we have the Hunter's Den. You'll notice that there is a structure already placed in turn 1 production line, showing that it will be ready after 1 turn. Then we have the Sacred Grove, which you can see here on the turn 2 production line, meaning it takes 2 turns to complete. You can find the production timers for each structure directly on the card, showing how long each one takes to build. Looking back at the Emerald Temple, it starts with 10 health, which you'll write in at the beginning of the game to track it. It has a defense of 6, meaning opponents must roll higher than a 6 to successfully deal damage. If it's destroyed, it costs 5 biomass to rebuild. Now looking at the Hunter's Den, it starts with 8 health, which you'll write in once it's built. It has a defense of 5 and costs 4 biomass and 1 ore to construct. Next is the Sacred Grove. This structure takes 2 turns to build as shown in the turn 2 production line. Once completed, it has a total of 6 health, which you'll write in. It has a defense of 4 and costs 5 biomass and 2 ore to build. It's important to note that the Sacred Grove cannot be built unless the Hunter's Den is already completed on the battlefield. Now looking at your resource pool, you start the game with 2 of your primary resource, which is the leftmost resource on your card. For Dendro, that is biomass. You'll also track your ore and crystal resources here as the game progresses. Finally, we have the Dendro race ability. Starting in round 3, once per turn, any Dendro unit can pay 2 biomass to tame a wild beast within its range. That beast remains under your control until it dies. This ability can be used by any Dendro unit as long as the target is within that unit's specific range. The Dendro do not just survive in Denzaga, they grow, they adapt, and they turn the wild itself into their greatest strength. Now let's take a look at the Onyx production card. First, you'll see the faction name Onyx at the top of the card. Starting with your structures, we have the Great Hall, the Forge, and then the Brewery. Now, let's go back to the Great Hall. This is the first building placed on the board at the start of the game. It is positioned in the back corner of your Onyx starting tile. The Great Hall takes 1 turn to produce. It starts with 10 health and has a defense of 6, and if destroyed, costs 5 ore to rebuild. Next, we have the Forge. You'll see it shown in the turn 1 production line along with the piece placed there, indicating that it takes 1 turn to build. The Forge costs 4 ore and 1 biomass to construct, and it has a defense of 5. Now let's look at the Brewery. You'll see it placed in turn 2 production line, meaning it takes 2 turns to complete. The Brewery has a defense of 4 and it costs 5 ore and 2 biomass to build. Looking at your resource pools, ore is your primary resource for the Onyx faction, and you start the game with 2 ore. You'll also track your biomass and crystal resources here as the game progresses. Finally, we have the Onyx race ability. Starting in round 3, once per turn, any 1 Onyx unit can activate the shrine for a cost of 2 ore. Because this uses the race ability and not your unit's action, it creates a powerful flexibility. A single unit can activate the shrine using this ability and still use its action to attack, or even activate the shrine a second time. This opens the door for stronger turns, faster resource gains, and a major strategic advantage. The Onyx don't just survive Denzaga, they command it, and those who master them control the battlefield. Now let's look at how to build structures. For most factions, structures are built using worker units. The only exception is the Novite faction, which we'll cover in a later video. In this scenario, we have an Onyx worker, Bera, that just came into play this turn. We want to build the Forge, but we also want to build it in a specific location. So first, we move the worker to a space adjacent to where we want the structure to be placed. Once in position, we pay the required resources to begin construction. For the Forge, that cost is 4 ore and 1 biomass. After spending the resources, we place a construction token on the board to mark where the structure is being built. At the same time, the Forge piece is placed on the production card in turn 1 slot. showing that it will be completed on the following turn. While under construction, the structure starts at half health and can be targeted and attacked by your opponent. When the build is complete, the structure is placed onto the board, and its health is increased to its maximum value on your production card. At that point, your worker is freed from construction and can move and take another action if needed. Now let's take a look at producing units. In this example, we're producing an Onyx Berserker. Looking at the unit card, you can see the cost to produce it is 1 ore and 1 biomass. You'll also notice that this unit is created at the forge. To begin production, we spend the required resources, and then place the Berserker piece on the production card in turn 1 slot. You can see this timing in the top right of the unit card, showing that it takes 1 turn to complete. On the following turn, the Berserker is removed from the production line and placed onto any open space adjacent to the forge it was built in. At that point, the unit is fully deployed and ready to take any and all actions for that turn. Producing structures and units is how you expand your presence, apply pressure, and control the flow of the game. Because in Denzaga, what you build, where you build it, and when it arrives, decides the fate of your faction.